Can you see the
Yep.
slide deck? Okay.
Yep.
So
there we go.
exciting things this year. Hi there. He's connecting to audio.
Yep. So this is Plainview.
Good morning.
Good morning. And we're just getting started. We are recording this, so we'll have it back. And Becky Blink is our BrightBytes expert that is here with us today. And she is going to kind of lead the presentation. So Becky, I'll let you go ahead and keep on going.
Okay, perfect. So good morning. We have some new things this year. So I think, Molly, is this Darren?
This is Kyle, but it's at Plainview. It is a Plainview principal. Yep. Okay.
Well, welcome. And I heard you're new to BrightBytes. Is that right?
That is correct.
All right. So I help Molly with the districts in ESU 8 to get the collection done and share some data. So we'll talk a little bit about how we do that and what we do. The first thing I want to talk about, though, is especially for, I think you said it, Kyle, right?
Yep.
We have 2 surveys now. So what you're used to and what ESU 8 has given in the past is called technology and learning. But this year, because of everything that's going on, we have come up with a new survey called the Modern Learning Survey. So I'm going to talk a little bit about technology and learning first, so you have that kind of framework, and then I'll talk about what's different and what's similar in the new survey. So if you can see my screen, I'm going to talk first about technology and learning. So Mickey, you already know this, but the framework for technology and learning is called the CASE framework, and that just comes from classroom access, skills, and environment. So we look into all of those domains, and you can see here what we cover in classroom is the 4 C's: communication, collaboration, creativity, and critical thinking. We look at assessment and how well assessment is being utilized, and assistive technology or LMS systems, things like that. We look at access at school and at home. We look at skills for teachers and students in these areas, foundational, online, and multimedia. And we look at environment and how well technology is being integrated into the environment. And at the end of a survey collection, districts end up with what's called a CASE score. So that's just a numerical value that comes from giving the survey and collecting the responses. So, and the survey looks like this. So if you go in and your district or your students, your teachers, your parents are taking the survey, this is what they see, something similar to this. So the Modern Learning Survey is a little bit different. So the domains are, the biggest difference is we have included now questions about social emotional learning. So Mickey and Molly and I were just talking before you jumped on, Kyle, about what this remote learning environment has done to us as social beings. You know, we like to be with people, we like to be around our friends and our classmates. But when we gave the remote survey this spring, we found out that this was an issue that kind of surfaced in a remote learning environment. So the Modern Learning Survey is designed to be given regardless of where the student is learning. So they can be at home, they can be at school, they can be at a center that's been set up. It depends on your community. We still look at access, we look at the device, and we look at internet. Not only do they have access, but what's the speed of that internet? Because in a remote learning environment, that's a critical piece of information to understand. We look at instruction, so we still have some of the 4 C information in here. So we look at collaboration, creativity, and critical thinking, the things that really relate to and kind of are infused in remote learning or face-to-face learning. We did add this piece for students about, self-awareness, self-management. How are they feeling? Online safety. What do they believe? Still have digital citizenship and online skills. Support. The Modern Learning Survey has a leadership version of the survey. That's a difference. Technology and learning. Principals or district leaders take the teacher survey. For modern learning, they would take the leadership survey instead of the teacher survey. So there's a separate one for leaders. And how do they feel? Are they comfortable in whatever environment they're in? Do they feel supported? How are they communicating? How is staff communicating with students and teachers and parents? And then obviously participation in professional development. And the topics in professional development, I'll be happy to hear, have been updated to be more relevant to today. So these are the domains. Now, a big difference is there is no numerical score. No numerical score. Molly, I think I sent you, and you can share this with your districts, the entire list of the questions for, I may have sent it. I know I sent the FAQ. If I didn't send you the entire list of confidential questions, let me know, because you can review these questions. We just ask that you don't share them or copy them outside of your district because they are proprietary to BrightBytes. But then you can have, I mean, Mickey for sure knows, and Kyle, I can send us some sample links to technology and learning so you can kind of take a look at and gauge those questions so you can see the difference between what's asked in tech and learning and what's asked in the modern learning survey. Because every district is going to have a choice. Do we want to give tech and learning, or do we want to give the modern learning survey? It does not matter to us. Molly and I have spoken, and as a service agency, it does not matter to her. So if Norfolk wants to give tech and learning and Plainview wants to give modern learning, that's okay. It doesn't matter this year. So
hey, Becky, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
What about looking at data over the long term? I mean, if we've always done tech and learning and now we switch to modern learning, are we going to be able to compare that, or no, because you said there's no numerical score if we do modern learning?
Yes and no. So there is no numerical score. There are some data points that kind of cross over, access. So when we do a data review with someone who's done a modern learning survey, we'll try and make those connections.
Okay.
The big piece, and this is a concern with districts who have been historically tech and learning customers, is that trend data, that historical data. You wouldn't have that, right? You wouldn't have an administration this fall, so you wouldn't have a numerical score to say we were here last year and now we're here this year. You will have a way to compare a second administration of a modern learning survey to a first administration of a modern learning survey. But obviously that can't happen until you give the survey at least twice.
Right. Okay, thanks.
So you would lose, and I have districts that are saying, I'm giving tech and learning because that trend data and that historical data is important to us. And we want to see. And we know, right, that what our scores were last year are going to be vastly different this year. And we know why, right? So we'll be able to look at that, and you'll see tremendous growth, I would imagine, especially in the area of 4Cs. But we don't know, so when we interpret that data after a collection, we just kind of keep that in mind, that we're going to see some very different data, from tech and learning last time to tech and learning this time. So to answer your question, Mickey, there is going to be some kind of crosswalk between the two, and we should be able to compare some data points, but not all, obviously, because the questions aren't the same. The distribution of the modern learning survey is going to work exactly the same as it did for tech and learning, or as it does for tech and learning. So Kyle, this is all Greek to you, but that's okay. We'll help you get through this. We'll help you figure out, okay, what do I have to do to get the survey out, and how do I do it? So Mickey, it's the same thing. You just distribute a link like you did for tech and learning, and it's right there. And then the people go in and pick which group they're in: teachers, administrators, parents, students, or leadership. The dashboard looks very different because there's no case score, right? There's no domains, but what it does have is, this is going to be our new platform. I kind of gave you a sneak peek of some of this last winter, but this is going to be modern learning survey. So there's going to be some tiles that kind of pop out. This happens to be a screenshot of access and safety. And then there's graphs that kind of do some comparison here that you'll be able to look at. And then in our new format, there's going to be what we call natural language questions. So in a live version of this survey, I could click this down arrow and I would get a list of questions, because we give surveys to get information around questions that we have, right? So what are we trying to answer with the survey that we've just given? So we pulled in some questions that are common questions that people ask around this data. And then we display the charts from whatever area they come from, whether it's access or PD or SEL, whatever pieces of information we need to answer that question, we pull the charts in to answer that question in a single data set for you. So you don't have to, like in tech and learning, if you have a question and you want to answer and you need some information from classroom, you have to go into classroom. And then, oh, I need something from skills, and then I have to go into skills and find that data point. We try to pull those together. Now, for now, it is a specific set of questions. You can't add like, oh, my question's not listed here. We hopefully have captured many of the questions that would come from a survey like this. But if your question is just not here, then you can't add it. You can let me know and we can potentially add something to get that in there, but just know that this is a static list of questions for now. I did a little comparison and I know I sent this document to you, Molly, and she can share this out. One of the last couple pages of the document that she will share with you has a comparison. So the survey, it goes through, so certain points here, like the surveys for 3 through 12, yes and yes. And, so the difference is there's a survey for building leadership. Tech and learning does not have that. Modern learning does. So this is a nice matrix just to give you an idea and help you decide which one do we really want to give. And then there's a few more for if you've already used tech and learning. These are things that are important, that it will not have reports or those infographics yet. We're working on them, but it won't have them yet. The modern learning survey will not have those. So that's the difference between the surveys. I'm going to stop sharing. So you have a choice this year, which you've not ever had before. And I hope we continue to do that and offer some choice in the survey that we give. But new and exciting things coming out from BrightBytes. So we're pretty excited about it. I would tell you, I have about 130 accounts, and it's probably half and half for who's moving to modern and who's staying with tech and learning. And Mickey, you hit it on the head. The tech and learning, the people who are staying with tech and learning are very ingrained in that framework and very used to that score and that historical trend line. And that's why they're staying with tech and learning. They love that there's a new survey out there. This year, we're allowing people to take one or both. Eventually, I think we're going to try to transition people to the newest version of the survey, which would be the modern learning survey. But this year, we're not forcing that change. We don't have any plans to sunset tech and learning. It's a valuable tool, and people love it. So that's out there. The other things that we probably should talk about today are when do we think we want to do the collection, because that would determine when you might have to make a decision as to which survey you want to give. I also would like to offer up, and this would be valuable for Plainview probably, sessions right before the collection about, okay, this is how I start collection. This is how I stop collection. So Kyle, just to kind of bring you up to speed a little bit, Molly will share with you, and she may already have done it, a spreadsheet where you have to have, there's a list of your schools.
I haven't done it.
You haven't shared it yet? All right, so you're going to get this, but I'm just going to explain what it is. So you're going to have a list of schools, and then you're going to have to put how many teachers at each school, and then how many students in each grade at each of those schools. And that's so we can put those counts in the system. And when she gets that back, then she gives it to me, and then I update the system, and then all your counts are in there. So that we do ahead of time. As soon as your enrollment stabilizes a little bit, we can do that. And then I want to host just short little 15 or 20 minute, here's how you get your collections set up.
Here's how you log on, because they probably don't
Here's
even.
how you log in. Here's how you,
Yeah.
I will want, Kyle will need a list of people that you want to have access to BrightBytes.
Okay.
When you either name and their email, so we can get them in the system. They will get an email from BrightBytes, from the system, that has them go in and set a password. So as soon as we do that, that email might end up in their spam. So just kind of warn them that. But as soon as I get them entered in, I'll let you know. Molly, if you share Kyle's email, that'd be great. And I can communicate with him about getting those. And Molly, I think you know how to add users in too.
Oh yeah, I hadn't thought about that. But if their schools aren't in there, can I add them?
Nope.
Yeah.
No, we have to do that. So we can,
Yep.
we'll add the schools, and then we can add, teachers and coaches or whoever you want to have access to the data. And there's different levels of access. So there's admin access, which allows someone to add a user at their school, start and stop collection, things like that. I recommend that stays with 1, maybe 2 people in your district. The other access is standard, and that's just they can go in, they can look at the data, they can see the data. That's really all they need to do. So another piece probably will be who should have admin access and who should have standard access. I can send you a template to fill in that will help make it easier. Admin access standard. And then which schools should they have access to? You know, do you want this person to only have access to the elementary school, or do you want this person to have access to all your schools? It's up to you.
Okay.
So I can send that your way. So what do you think as far as collection, Molly? I mean, you traditionally have done it in,
In
December?
November, I think, right, Mickey?
November?
It was different last year, but yeah, it was earlier for us. Yeah, November sounds right.
Yeah, so do you have any idea when you're thinking about doing collection, Mickey?
Well, whenever you want the schools in ESU 8 to do it, we'll just, I mean, because normally Norfolk did it in the spring. I mean, we were like an April type collection. So
that's right. We moved it everybody to the fall so that we could do a winter data dig or whatever. So
yeah, so we'll just do it whenever everybody else does.
Yeah, I would probably shoot for that November again. Hopefully, or by the end of November maybe. So if you feel more comfortable doing it, you know, October-ish, I mean, that's fine, but that I think that would probably work.
That sounds good.
And Mickey,
is there anybody
send that out for numbers too to all of the schools? I was just waiting for this.
Yeah, no, I would, yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Are we going to update numbers or go with last year's? You want us to update? Okay.
Nope, I will get it sent out today after we had this little meeting. I'll probably send it out with the recording.
Yeah, the biggest thing is always to get as many responses as you can. We have something in the system, Kyle, called statistical significance.
Yep.
And it's 95%. So we really want to try to get as many responses as we can. We still display data if we don't hit statistical significance, but the goal is to really get there so you have a really good understanding of how people are feeling on certain questions. So with tech and learning and with modern learning, we have to have at least one teacher survey and one student survey for data to show up on the dashboard for those schools. If you have, I don't know if you have an early childhood center, like a K2 center.
Mm-mm.
Okay, then I don't need to worry about it because those, we usually don't have any student surveys there, but we need a teacher survey. So we just kind of take a student survey so the teacher stuff shows up. But if you don't have that, we don't have to.
Yeah, so Kyle, the survey is for 3rd through 12th grade students. And typically the best results is when they like do it all together, you know, like in a class period or something. It gets a little more difficult to make sure you hit your high school kids and so forth. But, and then the teacher survey, most get best results if they do it at the beginning of a teacher's meeting or an assigned time, just because you can send it to teachers and they're like, oh, I'll do it later, and they forget. And then there is a parent version, but I don't know that any of our schools have ever done the parent version. Haven't they, Becky? I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
It's there. I mean, if you want to do it, you can send a link. Mickey, when you, Kyle, just so you know, when we get the survey set up, there is a district link that you can send out where the kids just go in and pick their school, and then they pick their role and then they pick their school. Yep. Or there are individual links that you can send, a student link at the elementary school and a teacher link at the elementary school. Most districts send out the district link, and it's okay. Kids can pick their role and their school. But just so you know that that's available and you can decide how you want to distribute that. We'll talk more about that when we do a short little kind of collection, reminder or review or whatever we want to call it.
Okay.
So that's there. And then basically just send the link out, or a lot of districts put it on their webpage, like click here for the BrightBytes survey. And that's worked well to get responses. And there's a separate link for parent. They could use the district link and then just pick parents if you want to survey them. That's fine.
Okay.
Doesn't matter. So do we want to set up sometime in October, maybe a quick how to collect and how to turn it on and things like
Yeah.
that?
We can do that.
Do you have a calendar there, Kyle?
I do. I just pulled it up.
Perfect.
What? You thinking beginning October, end of October?
I think if you're going to administer in November,
Yep.
we could do we could look at the last week of October. It's right before, but prior to that call, we're going to need to have the school names, the
Yep.
usernames that we need to add,
Yep.
and the numbers, the student and teacher numbers from everyone.
Right.
Okay.
So Molly, we set maybe October 15th or maybe October 1st to have that population sheet done.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'll send that right out, the population sheet, so we can get that. But I was thinking of that. You said you had a template of who should be, if you want to send that to me, then I can just send it all out to Kyle in one.
Okay. Yep.
And Kyle, sometimes I know I have had like the tech person, so I know I had put Tom Sauser in that. So he might be someone that you want just for technical support. There usually isn't anything anymore. I mean, and we kind of started that way, but sometimes they are good people to see that information when it comes back to access and things like that too. So
Okay. Can do that.
yeah. Mickey, any tidbits or tips and tricks to share with Kyle? You guys have been giving it for probably about 5 years.
Yeah, it's way easier for us to collect data K6 or 3-6 because we have captive audiences because we make them do it in class.
Mm-hmm.
And then 7-8 is okay, but our high school building, I don't think we reached statistical significance with our high school kids last year. And that was really disappointing, but it's very hard because we don't, well, I mean, you're not going to have that issue because you don't have 1,300 high school students that you're trying to get to take the survey. So it's probably going to be easier for you to get them all to take it.
I'll get all 130 tackled, don't worry.
Yeah. Yeah. So we probably can't. Yeah. I probably have nothing to offer you. That will be helpful. You guys are going to knock it out of the park, I'm sure.
Tell him how you've used your data though, that you get back, Mickey.
So, we, it's the trend data that is really the great piece. And, because we changed our collection time last year, we had one data point that went down and I was freaking out. And then called up Becky and she took it to her team and she's like, nope, it's probably because of the time of the year that you surveyed. And I'm like, whew, that made me feel so much better. So we have our principals get in and look at the data and sometimes set a building technology goal. And so we've done that in the past. To be honest, this year we didn't really do anything because COVID happened. And but we will have our principals get in. I have also my elementary media specialists are the ones who do the survey in my elementary buildings. And so they have access to their building data so they can get in and see trend data for their kiddos and people that they're working with. So and I generally send out a report to everybody because I figure if teachers are going to take the time to take the survey, they should get the results. And so I normally share the results with everybody, but it's been, we've used it different ways, but setting that building goal around the data that you get is really a good idea.
And Mickey, I'm not for sure on did you do it one time before you went 1-to-1 and you used that results to help push that to your board? I was thinking, or it was the same time. I can't remember.
Molly, that is, let me see here. We did this, yeah, it would have, 2014 was when we first did it. And that was about the time that we were looking to go 1-to-1 in the district. So yeah,
So
we did use some of the results from this survey. Mm-hmm.
So
Molly, do you want me to go like show Kyle? Just have you seen BrightBytes at all, Kyle?
he hasn't,
Nope.
I don't think. Yeah.
Should
And Mickey, if
should
you
I
don't
do
want to
the-
stay, that's fine. But if you want to just go onto the dashboard and show a little bit, Becky, that'd be
Sure.
great.
Okay, so this is your service agency dashboard, but this is what you will see when you log in. You'll see a little blue, I think it's blue avatar. You can add your picture here if you want. But this is what happens after you give a survey. So if you use Tech and Learning. So this is what we call the K-score right here. So this is a score that we compile based on this scoring legend right here, and there's a little bit of an explanation here. So once we get your account set up, Kyle, it might be beneficial for you to just come in here and kind of click around just to see. You won't have any data here though, so it might be difficult. But Molly can certainly give you a tour of a school site if she'd like to do that.
Okay.
And then under here we have the 4 domains of classroom access, skills, and environment. And if I click into any of these, you can click into any of those. There are success indicators that fall under each of those domains. So this is what we were talking about earlier about the 4 C's with communication, collaboration, creativity. And then into these data points, you'll see more specific information related to the responses that were collected in your district. And then once you have more results than one time, and this is what Mickey was talking about, I can look at trends in this success indicator, so I can see where am I going with this and how has it been. And that's what a lot of districts who have done Tech and Learning for multiple years, this is very important to them because they want to see growth, every year.
Yep.
There's always a why this matters section, and this is the research. The best thing to know about BrightBytes is it's research-based, developed with ISTE, AIR, all kinds of educational leaders, and so it's pretty instructionally sound. And I can use these little bars to go back. I can go into any domain I want to go into. I can, on this page, I can hit list. And for you, this is like Molly's page, right? So she sees the service agency historical data. Mickey, do you see this when you go in?
Yes.
You see ESU 8, okay.
Yep.
And then go to districts, you can see how the districts have done historically over time. And then you can go into individual schools, and you can expand any of these to see their historical collections. So once you have more than one collection, this will be more meaningful for you, but it's a great way to just kind of look, where are we? And obviously you want to be blue and green. That's the top of that rubric. But just starting out, you probably have some gray and pink areas. You probably will, and that's where we, like Mickey said, figure out, okay, where do we set our goal to improve, and how do we use this data to inform that action plan, and what are we going to do? And typically we have in the past, and we don't know if we're going to be able to do it this year, after your collection, I come to Nebraska, and Molly hosts at the ESU a get-together for the districts that have collected, and we kind of work through the ESU data overall, and then we spend most of the afternoon working on your individual district data and writing action plans. So if we can do that on site this year, that would be fantastic, and I would recommend that you come to that. If we can't do that on site this year, we'll figure out a way to do it virtually. So either way, it's good to get together with colleagues like Mickey and other districts that have utilized this forever, and we share ideas, and it's just, we really have a good time. I love coming, so I hope I can come again. I'm really nervous about not being able to come, but regardless, we'll do it virtually if we have to, and we'll have fun doing that too. So this is just kind of a little tour. Now, if you go up to your little person here, and this will all make sense when you can log in, but I'm just going to show you this so that when you can log in, just kind of come in here and play around. You can't break it, right? You can't break it. So manage team would be where you add people. If you're the admin user, you could add, let's say you get a new technology coach and you want them to have access. You can come in here and you can add them in. Molly can also add them in. She has access to everyone. Manage data is where we would go to start and stop a collection. So once we get to that, I'll show this again when we set that late October time. So basically we just come in here, and I can't do it from the, oh yeah, I can. I have to go into a specific school. I can check this box, and as soon as it's checked, I can hit start collection. or I can schedule the collection to open on a certain day. So, and then it will give you some links as to where do they go and what link do I share out. And I'll explain all of this in October in more detail. But this is important here, this progress report. If I click on this, it's probably not going to show anything now, but it's a CSV, so it opens in Excel, and it's opening very slowly. But what it does is it gives you the links for one, but it also shows you how many responses you've collected and whether or not how many more you need to hit stat sig and if that was achieved. So this is a good thing to kind of keep your eye on throughout your collection. And we try to send updates, say, hey, you need 5 more to get to stat sig. I try to send these, but I want to make sure you know how to get there. So if you're like, oh, how many do we have? How many more do we need? You can come in here and you can look. So that's the quick and dirty tour of BrightBytes, but at least it gives you an idea of what you might see when you log in to Tech and Learning. If you use Tech and Learning, Modern Learning will look very different, and I don't have a live dash to show you right now for that.
So
which one you want to
that's
go.
what I was going to ask you, because I was wondering if I missed something. Is Modern Learning going to be available then this fall? When
Yes.
they do that?
Yep. You
Okay,
can pick. So when you get
and
ready
then-
to do your collection, you'll just pick whichever one you decide to give.
So then you said that one doesn't come with a score, right?
It doesn't have this kind of score. There will be, to my knowledge, I'm just digging into here to get to the level where it kind of start. You'll see this kind of information, on the questions that are asked.
Yep.
But you won't have that score.
Okay.
You'll have the information. It's more of a, I don't know how to, informational.
It's still going to be color coded and stuff, so you'll
Yes.
still be able to follow all that.
Yep.
It's just you won't have a raw data score to go based off of.
Right.
Right.
So then, I mean, do you have any idea like how many schools are going to switch and use Modern Learning, or how many are going to use Tech Learning? Because when I look at it, if we're just starting this and you had mentioned shifting everybody to Modern Learning, it would make sense that we just do that.
Mhm.
So, I mean, if you want to use us as a guinea pig, fine. So, but I just wanted to make sure I have something kind of to compare to as well, and not just kind of be the only one.
Yeah.
But
Are you speaking in the ESU, Kyle? Like how many
Yeah.
are doing?
I don't know, Kyle, because this was kind of the rollout of that. And so
Okay.
until the rest of them watch the video and make that decision, I'm not really sure what they're going to think. But
so you also said that you can compare a little bit between the two. So even though if we do use the modern one, we can still pick out those few things and compare with other schools.
Yeah.
Would it all be in the same place, even if we take 2 different surveys? Or is it going to be separated based off of what survey you take?
It will be survey based.
Okay.
So your data will display Modern Learning survey stuff. The,
Okay.
the crosswalk between data points
Yeah.
to Tech and Learning, I will have to do. I mean, it has to be done manually because you can't. It would be great. That's a great idea, but we can't do that. Like say, oh, what's access look like for Norfolk if they're using Tech and Learning, and what does it look like for us?
Okay.
Can't do that now. We can look at your data, and then we can look at their data, and we can kind of say, look, compared to them, we're here. But that would all have to be done manually.
Okay.
right, we could pull up the ESU data of anybody that did the Tech and Learning, so not individually, but as a whole ESU and the
Mhm,
whole
right.
Modern Learning and compare those that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.